everyone. How's everyone doing today? Just gotta turn up my mic because my mic keeps on resetting. So we got some stuff to get into, and we're just gonna do a brief overview of what we saw happen in the previous episode as we kind of warm up to what's gonna happen tonight. Judging by the thumbnail that was used today, we're still hanging out with the soldiers table, and I don't know. I feel like the people that have the most going on tend to be the thumbnail for these episodes. So conspiracy theory Todd thinks something big is happening with Wikander, but that can be completely wrong. That could be incorrect in every possible way. I could be wrong. But it might be a big Wikander episode. And he has been throwing his name around quite a bit, really recklessly, and making a lot of not fantastic moves, bad deception checks, bad persuasion checks. So it feels like the heavy hand of Wikander's family might finally come down on him. But I could be wrong. So let's kind of dive in. And thank you everyone for joining chat before the game. I appreciate you. How's everyone doing today? Let's see. I know I had it up. So, yeah, let's go and dive into it real quick. What we saw happen last week was I will go ahead and put chat box above my camera. That way you guys can see yourselves. I hope everyone's doing really well. So we saw that Sam actually managed to deceive Casimir briefly into believing that the Candescent Creed did in fact want Thiazi Fang dead. That turned out to be totally not true. And he actually believes that Dr. Finger at this point is a courtesan. It's pretty fast and loose with persuasion and deception checks having to do with Casimir, and it makes Casimir either look like a genius or a complete moron. Oh, by the way, yeah, we're spoilers because this is the pre-show, so we're diving into things that have happened from the previous episode before the warm-up for the next episode. So spoilers as always. Travis had some pretty amazing rolls. He rolled a 1 and a 2 with I think, did he have advantage or disadvantage? It was pretty terrible, but he got a nat 20 on initiative. That was fun. And then his stealth checks were really on point. He did have to recover from falling out of a tree, but it was pretty cool how he recovered. There was another failed persuasion check by Sam on Casimir to get him alone. He became very superstitious. Sam freaked out and cast Thaumaturgy and screamed for help, which probably wasn't the most persuasive or deceptive thing. We got people talking about spoilers. This is the show before the show, so yeah, there are always spoilers having to do with these pre-shows. Hope that's aware. Otherwise, I'm curious. Yeah, you shouldn't be in the pre-show before the upcoming show. things will get ruined. So Sam cast Thaumaturgy, then Suggestion got cast, which actually worked on one of the guards, but there was one of the crows that didn't have Suggestion used on them, and at this time, one of the soldiers has a blade on Sam's neck. Casting Suggestion on him and getting him to take the blade away from his neck, that does work, but then this other crow doesn't believe Sam or isn't under the influences of a Suggestion spell. It feels like Sam is really 50-50 on his succeeding to deceive or persuade or even using magical effects. It's pretty inconsistent. So the Crow Keeper starts pushing his head right into the mud, almost drowning him. A guard casts Friends on him. The guard had Friends cast on him. That's right. Persuasion was used to get him alone. She then calls herself Jezebel, which was disturbing, and then asked if she could cast Poison Spray in Casimir's butt if he would in fact notice. And the description was, "Hey, if you're expecting a little bit of a pain, and someone shoots you in the butt with a gun, you're probably going to know that something went wrong." We had another nat 1 from Kattigan. One of the crow keepers sees him, but he ends up throwing that person right off of the roof. We got hold person cast on Casimir, which was really a great moment because this effectively made it so Thimble could just stab him right in the eye and automatically get sneak attack damage, and that was incredibly effective. So blinds, Thimble gets to have this clutch moment where Thimble gets to stab Casimir in the eye, does 21 damage, then another 10 damage to his throat. Tyranny loses concentration on her spell. Casimir rushes up the steps. Tyranny throws the mystery egg, which causes an illusory squid to suddenly appear in the middle of this very dramatic moment. Thimble attacks him and bloodies him again, Casimir, and tells him to catch me if you can. We did find out that Thimble is a swashbuckler rogue, not an assassin rogue, which is better in keeping with that character for sure. And there's a crit on Wakander. He casts shield, and it doesn't block either attack made upon him. He's 2 points away from instant death. He takes 27 points of damage, and he only has 29 hit points, so that could have been an instant death had there been a little bit more damage on that attack. They mentioned that they use homebrew rules, so if you're in death saves, you can either decide to stabilize yourself if you have not failed any death saves, or you could grant heroic inspiration to someone else in your party, and that's what Sam actually did. Sam gave heroic inspiration to someone else in the group, which was pretty cool. That's only if you don't have any death saves. Wakander gives that inspiration to Tayor. Casimir says, "When will I hear the falcons cry again?" And Thimble cuts Casimir's neck. It slices his throat and says, "Can you hear it now?" Tyranny, which is an amazing moment and very dramatic, and I can't wait to see that animated. Tyranny threatens Wakander to live, saying, "I'm going to take your eyeballs out," and all this other stuff. The soldiers of the castle actually give up. There's Big Tom Holly and a bunch of other fun characters, a Baroness, Cosgrove of Sloke, and in an act of generosity, they give them the castle instead of briefly, for about 5 seconds, Wakander was the Baron. So you have to understand, someone was the Baron this morning. I don't even remember who that was. And then it was Casimir, same day. And then Casimir was killed, and then it became Wakander. And then we got another Baroness, Cosgrove of Sloke. So that's 4 Barons in a row. That's a real dicey place. So they go to the public house outside the castle with Dane Morgan, and they're heading north. They know that Sid is heading north, and so they're going to start moving that way as well. There was a soldier named Gully who was a real pain in the ass and was going to basically rat everyone out, who they see running, and a Mastiff chases him down and murders him. Flat out murders this evil soldier by drowning him in the water, not unlike in the way that was going to happen to Wakander in the first place. And that's the rundown on basically everything that happened. I was glad to see that we finally were able to tie up a villain within the show. And what I mean by that is, you eventually want to see repercussions for the actions of these evil characters and stuff like that. So it was good to see. And Casimir was such a kind of not a hit and miss villain, but he's obviously not a big bad. He's on the way to a big bad, which is the whole reason that we had the introduction to the woman with the skull tattoo on her face. And that's going to be our big bad for quite some time, I believe. Unless we switch tables, or we might switch tables and that person still figures into being the big bad for another table. I think after today, we would move from the soldiers table, or in the middle of the game, we'd move away from the soldiers table at this point, because it's been a minute. We've been spending some time with the soldiers table. So that's the breakdown. Wow, it's amazing how many of you are actual members of the channel. I really appreciate that. Super chats are always a great way to get my attention in the middle of these streams like that. I appreciate everyone for being here, though. It's always fun to hang out with all of you right before the show airs. It definitely gives me a sense of community around watching Critical Role, so I appreciate it. I know I got a lot of chats, and I'm going to try to look through them. Ooh. Look. Yeah, I know. I actually remember to use ads today. I know. I'm very proud of myself. It's the number of times I've messed that up is ridiculous. But yeah, that is the current rundown of how things are going. I'm adjusting something. Perfect. So, what do we think is going to happen in... Hey Todd, do you do these every week? I do these every week. Yep, since episode 1. Oh, I didn't watch the auction last night because I knew I couldn't contribute to it. But I'm sure they did fantastic. They've got a lot of heirlooms. I got a few heirlooms. I thought about auctioning off at one point. I have Neil Newbon. I have the Hand of Vecna that he bit during our game in MagicCon Chicago. So I thought about auctioning that off one day. Oh, I'm glad you're catching this live. Yeah, I appreciate you. Yep, I do this every week. What table do I think next? I'd like to see the schemers, I think. I think I'd like to see how the schemers are doing. I think it's been a minute. So... And there may be repercussions having to do with the actions that have been taken by the soldiers table that will lead to things being affected for the schemers. We could really go either way, though. But I do want to start seeing that kind of that effect that Brennan kind of mentions. It's the dramatic irony, but you have an arrow fly past your head, and it's actually aimed at another table kind of situation. So. Maybe we've had a villain, maybe we've had soldiers introduced in this game for the soldiers table that will affect the seekers table now. They do need to tie up Tayor Pridesire's brother's plotline and find out where he is. And it may be too much for something this complex to dangle for like another 8 episodes at a different table, so it may be better to like find out what's going on with Tayor Pridesire's brother and get that resolved once and for all. So we may not have a split table today if they need to get that done. I'm curious as to why Sam is the thumbnail. That seems a little weird. So this potentially can be another heavy Wakander episode in terms of like something dramatic's going to happen, and that makes sense because the Wakander's family, and the entire Candace Creed, I can't say that Wakander has been exactly stealthy in how he's been traveling with the party. I mean, he's had misstep after misstep after misstep. So I think a blind rabbit would know that Wakander is in this area of the country. So I feel like his family has to start come calling and having some kind of retribution against Wakander for what he's been doing. But that's my current theory for this episode. I think they maybe will get Sid out of his current situation, but I also think there could be repercussions for Wakander. So those are my theories at the moment. How are the views for Cruel doing? I haven't been looking at episode to episode. I'm curious. Because you always see a little bit of drop off on YouTube. But they've got Beacon. I mean, who from the Candace and Creed has not been told about Wakander being in town? Like, these lies of his are so bad. And, honestly, a little suspiciously bad. I don't think Wakander is being evil, but boy, I think Sam has put a lot of thought into this character. A ridiculous amount of thought. he has basically created an entire religion. So if he's put that much thought into his characters' backstory and world building, then they're averaging around 7,000 live viewers, right? That's decent. That's great. Yeah. I think Sam's our wild card. Yeah, I'm a little suspicious if if Sam is playing a character who is an actual dumbass, or if Wakander himself is kind of faking it. But I don't think that really aligns with everything that Tyranny knows about him. It's certainly a long con, and then why the conversation with his grandmother and everything else. Why did that all seem to be a surprise? Nope, Sam is a Clockwork Soul Sorcerer, unless the Clockwork Soul Sorcerer in some weird way got reskinned. They did kind of confirm it because we know he is a sorcerer, and then he used a 3rd level ability for the Clockwork Soul Sorcerer and read that ability out. That made it very clear it was verbatim the Clockwork Soul Sorcerer. Now, does that make a ton of sense for the fact that they have a divine creature that he's directly related to? Not necessarily. But then again, it doesn't make typical mythological sense for this celestial creature to gone rabid once the gods left. There's a lot of open-ended questions, which I'm eager for the seekers to start figuring out. Why is Sam? Why is Wakander a Clockwork Soul Sorcerer? Why does he have no divine magic? Why did the Celestials go rabid? And the notion of how important belief is to magic as well is another example of how the power of belief and how much people believe in something can make something true. We still have these artifacts that many of which lead to the plane of the dead, and the fact that it feels like the underworld is filling up fast, and this feels like an apocalyptic level event where the dead walk the earth again kind of situation, and this could be a calamity of a huge scale. It'd be interesting to run a campaign for a year, and then an apocalyptic event occurs halfway through that campaign that devastates the world. Could be really interesting. So. Robbie's character, yeah. Kattigan has the most secrets, and it's been indicated that Kattigan had one of the most in-depth backstories in previous videos, and we haven't even gotten close to that. So, yeah, he's able to nullify disadvantage. Now, you can do that with luck and a bunch of other things, but not in the way that he worded it. He worded it in a very specific way. That was Clockwork Soul Sorcerer information. There's a lot of dog stuff, man. So, I did not suspect there would be that much dog stuff. Just curious. Oh, I don't think you can see yourselves in chat, so I'll fix that. Yeah, I was a little surprised. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I appreciate all of you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all that important stuff. Leave comments, leave your theories in chat and in the comments as well. This is kind of just warming up to the main event. Dogs are the new birds. Yeah, dogs are really important. And they're awakened. And I thought people had indicated that some of these dogs were druids, but I don't think there's been any evidence of that to be true. I could be wrong, but I believe all of the dogs in Timony that are sentient are just awakened dogs, and that they take care of them and use them as messengers and a bunch of other stuff. So, yeah, I'm not sure where we got into the druid stuff. Let's see. Just catching up to chat real quick. What is pressing on everyone's minds about this episode? I'm reading through. Yeah, that's an excuse. Is this that Divine Soul fits so well that it's still a little bit of an odd choice? So, thank you very much for our first super chat today. Awakened Hounds could have been also part of the old path like the Druids. Absolutely, it's a good point. I know this is weird, I've always wanted to play an Awakened Raven or a Crow, because I love crows. Weirdly enough, because we have so many crows in my neighborhood and they follow me around sometimes, and they drop acorns. When my wife leaves for work, they drop acorns outside our house so she can drive over the acorns and break them open so they can eat them. We had one crow that really didn't figure out this trick very well, and he dropped an acorn on my windshield. It didn't break the windshield, but I was driving like on the freeway, and I turned on my windshield wipers and shot an acorn right off my car. Thank God I didn't hit anybody. It was truly bizarre. Yeah, it's interesting because people don't seem to regard the King of Timony very well, but he was very connected to the Druids himself. So I'm kind of, I think there's a lot more to learn about Timony. So I'm 100% sure we're at the Soldiers table today, based off the thumbnail that we've got of Sam Riegel up there for today's episode. I think it's too soon to split the table. Oh wow! Thank you so much for the 5 gift memberships to everybody. Bob Sinclair, that's huge. I really appreciate that. I'm sure everyone else does too. Yeah, I think we're gonna have a throwdown with the Tachonis peeps. Yeah, 100%. I think we're gonna have some type of fight with House Tachonis here in the next 3 hours. I feel like we're lulled into a bizarre sense of security because someone could die. You know, well, I'm just saying, Wikander is the thumbnail. How mind-blowing would it be if Wikander died this episode? He already came so dang close. That would be pretty wild. Then again, Liam's also got a secondary character that he's come up with, and he's afraid because he mentioned the idea to Brennan Lee Mulligan and realized Brennan Lee liked his secondary character so much that maybe he put himself in danger. Yeah, I'm very hyper aware. Yeah, there are a lot of episodes where people could have died. I mean, Wikander could have outright died. I will not believe in the lethality of this campaign until someone drops. Drops. How do those gift memberships get even out? Asking for a friend, tight budget these days, as with most people. Yeah, I hear you. Look what I get it. I think it's randomized. You don't choose it. It's kind of like Twitch subs when someone gifts them. I think just random people in chat get them. So I am going to get some new emotes and stuff like that. We'll work on that stuff. Right now, you can see a lot of people who have subbed have the Averin coin. I gotta clean that up. But that is the coin of my character. He's a trickery domain god, quote unquote. Not really true. Do you think that Brennan was setting up that castle to be the Soldiers' Priority Bastion? Yeah, I do a little bit. That happens, you know. You can throw a castle at folks, and you know, he kind of mentioned how they couldn't really make any income for the soldiers that were working there, not soldiers at the table. These knights had basically come here to earn a living, and kind of kept on mentioning how they can't earn a living now, and now that there's no Baron, like, how will they get by? There doesn't seem to be any resource here in Sloke, or even, like, any taxable income that could be generated from the people of Sloke either, so it really felt like it was a setup to have this adventuring party send money back and use this as, like, a bastion of operations in some way, and I think they just didn't take the bait. We definitely meander back and forth about this and the ethics of Wakander becoming a Baron of Sloke and all that other stuff, and then they decide ultimately to give it back to someone who was already living there, which was a good moral, thing to do, certainly. So, but yeah, it did feel like a little bit like that was a bastion that was being pushed on the party. Would you rather see Critical Role play Daggerheart, or do you feel it wouldn't have made a difference? Oof. I don't. Just a second. I'll be right back. Got a doorbell thing. I'm back. Sorry about that. We got, oh yeah, someone joined. Welcome, Bat Boozley. I appreciate it. Yeah, it did feel like it was supposed to be a bastion for the party, but you know what? You always have to roll with it, and you're always going to run as a dungeon master or a game master. You might set something up that really feels like, hey, this is the castle of operations. Now, I did that certainly in previous games of mine. I did a. Would I consider doing a tour of my background? Yeah, not today. That will require a weird camera move, which I'm not capable of doing. But yeah, people have always been curious what all is going on in my backdrop. So what was I thinking? Yeah, like I set up the party because I love flying castles. I love them. Storm Herald, I had this castle that they journeyed to that was abandoned, and they realized it was a flying citadel. And so the moment where that flying castle like lifted off the ground, you know, that became their base, their home of operations, and that was like really super fun. Sorry for the lack of notice. What else? Yeah, so what do you think's going to happen tonight? I think we may end up with additional lethal combat. I think we're going to tie up Taylor Pridesire's situation with his brother. I think we're going to get a little bit rowdy with the Tachonises. Everyone's pretty worse for wears. They need like a long rest to, I feel like, be okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I got 114 people in chat just waiting for Daggerheart. I want to continue to iterate on like how to make this more fun as a warm up to the show. I could always play Demio Battlemarked, which is certainly on theme. Yeah, we did that for 3 years. I love flying castles. Love. I love mobile bases. I think they're really fun. And also, like, it's hard to say no to a flying castle, I'd argue. So, big shout out to a couple of the folks dropping, like, what, 50 gift subs to everybody last week and the week before. That was wild. We appreciate you. I believe that was Bob, right? Bob, that was you. That was wild. Yes, I will consider doing a tour of the background for sure. Not tonight because I would have to have a mobile camera to do that, and I don't. There's a lot of. It's an interesting level of focus on dogs and animals in general. Again, that thing with the Fang seeing a falcon right before he died seemed to have extreme importance to the Tachonis family, specifically to the woman with the tattooed teeth outside her mouth. It would be fun to have a storyboard recap and follow the individual characters visually and verbally. I agree. I wish I could draw well. I grew up drawing and stuff like that, and that would have been a good talent for that. I saw the video on Demio on your channel. My friend just gifted me Battlemark to play with her. Oh, that's awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, it's really fun. And it feels like you're playing a D&D game, by the way. Christine Ariel and Damien Haas and I, a bunch of us, got together and started playing Demio, and it was really fun and funny, and exactly, it felt like a D&D game. We're just moving our minis around the table, and it felt genuine. It was really fun. I'm wondering if the Falcon is a god that survived. That could be a possibility. I'm late. The Video Game Awards are epic. Yeah, I know. I'm missing the Game Awards. I assume Claire Obscura cleaned up tonight on the Video Game Awards, as they are wont to do. Hey Todd, loving all the new Daggerheart videos coming out. Keep up the good, amazing work. Any plans to cover other systems as well? I'd love to. I do reach out from time to time about doing interviews about other systems, and people don't necessarily get back to me or, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not purposely ignoring other systems. I do have a pretty heavy focus on Daggerheart at the moment. I'm still focused on doing D&D stuff as well. Jennifer English won Best Performance. Good for Jennifer. I had a great time. I have a really fun interview with Jennifer and Ben Starr from PAX West. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, super nice person. And what a funny, weird interview. We started talking about weird, murdery stuff. I don't know that people winning awards is necessarily a spoiler, but who can say? Todd Kenrick, do you think they will actually catch up to the Tachonis folk tonight? I do. I think so. I'd be kind of disappointed if they didn't, because I do actually want to go see another table as well. This is episode 9. It'd be a good button, right? And then move on to another table, because I'm going to forget the rest of the cast if we go much longer. I think death can actually make the story of the game better. It's also, but there's that attachment to the characters. Yeah, it's really hard, man. I mean, you invest a lot of yourself in the characters. I'm not good about death. I mean, I've been playing the same character since I was 8 years old, and they have a reason why they keep surviving and keep they're on like a time loop, basically, so they keep coming back and having to re-level up. But I've seen people who are rock stars, they lose their character to sometimes the stupidest things, and they roll with it. They love it. I had one guy, I was running D&D in the castle, and he felt he hit his character's natural end, which was wild, because I don't know that this guy he's played with a bunch of very famous Dungeon Masters before, and he didn't realize how intense I can be and how intricate in the plot line, and he had such a good time. He was so invested. he just his character hit this point where he realized my character would stay behind and run this pirate ship in the Feywild. That's where he goes from here. He doesn't continue on with the rest of the party, and they instantly made a new character because he's like, that just feels like the character's end, how I wrote him, and blah, blah. That happened on the second day. What a good group. I gotta tell you, you always get a little nervous, especially if it's strangers and you're running a game for strangers. It's D&D in a castle, and what a absolutely amazing group of players. I cannot speak highly enough of them. They completely made my day. So, very lucky. Hello, Todd. I wanted to say hi and thank you for all the incredible work you've been doing, going back to the start of the stream now. Oh, thank you so much. Do you think it's a Z ploy to get Wick and Taylor what happened a few sessions ago? I don't know. They're trying to make a little difference between how they're handling, because they're calling it the world of the Fey, rather than Feywild or Shadowfell. I think they're just trying to make it distinct, in the differences that we are seeing between the two between like the world of D&D, right? So they're being very clear about these distinctions, which is a good thing, you know. I don't know if Shadowfell is copyright in any way, and that may not even want to be up. It's good to like tell people, hey, this is a different universe with different rules, and make it very clear that this isn't like Exandria or D&D. This is a world that has its own planes of existence that have slight variations in name. I think that's smart. Todd Kenrick, do you think you have any interest in the Brandon Sanderson Cosmere TTRPG that just came out? My wife and another couple just got it, are going to try it. Yeah, I'll absolutely take a look at it, yeah. First stream I've been able to make it since I saw the notification. But someone gifted me a membership. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, people are being very generous with memberships. Oh, I love that art of Averin. That was some really fun art from Tyler Wadpool. I am also nervous what happened with Sloke, and I get around the House Halavar claimed and then bequeathed the barony through Wick's actions. Yeah, Wick's writing a lot of checks off of his good name for someone that basically abandoned his family. He's thrown the Halavar name around a lot. Feels like it's going to be a problem. Yeah, and so the world of the dead. So what's interesting is like the Shadowfell. Yeah, there's weird connections to the Shadowfell and in the world of the dead. If all the dead are, it's a transitive plane. It's supposed to be, which is why it's so jammed up right now. So it's not even really the Shadowfell. Shadowfell is a realm of undead, but not necessarily dead. Though technically, actually, in previous literature having to do with the Shadowfell, if you die in the Shadowfell, you don't escape. You actually get reincarnated within the Shadowfell. The Shadowfell obeys its own rules in D&D in a lot of ways. Not quite on the level of Planescape, where the Queen of Blades can basically just yeet even gods, or send you to a maze for the rest of your existence. But it's pretty damn close. There is one example of gods intervening in the Shadowfell, in Ravenloft, very specifically to get Lord Soth out, which was a little handled weirdly. I think there was just a general lack of discussion about Lord Soth going to Ravenloft originally, but I did like that. I like that novel quite a bit. Seeing Lord Soth and Strahd square off was like my Frankenstein versus Dracula moment. But I heard, and this can be completely wrong, and I should know better because I actually know the people who wrote Dragonlance. I heard that they weren't really informed, that they were just grabbing Lord Soth and shoving him into Ravenloft and giving him an entire area of his own in the form of Sithicus. So I get them pulling him back, but typically the gods don't have much influence over the the domains of dread, including Ravenloft. As someone who doesn't know the lore, you came in an intense moment. Yeah, that's for sure. Can you talk about the new Artificer? I have a new Cartographer playing at my table. And as I am a DM, they are the bane of my combats. What is making the Cartographer a bane? I like the Cartographer because they're hyper aware. I think they have a tool set that you as a Dungeon Master can play with. So I think maybe it takes a little bit more finesse because they're so aware of like where people are that have their maps and they're a teleporter. There's scenarios that would behoove you to build into the game where they feel like they're really getting to shine. That said, Artificers can sometimes break a game. I'd argue Artificers are better rogues than rogues sometimes, depending on the magical items they choose. They can be up to nasty business. They'll never have the damage output of something like a wizard or a sorcerer, certainly. But the armorer Artificer is a fantastic tank. And if you ever get bored of your armor, you now have 2 different armor sets you can choose from. Three you can choose from. But I haven't played around with the Cartographer that much. I think the best teleporter in the game is still the Feywild Warlock Archfey. They're pretty nasty. They're also the best archer in the game. Yeah, no, Sam is always designs his characters to be their own worst enemy. Yeah, I'm officially monetized. Oh, the Mighty 9 show is amazing. Yeah, I absolutely love it. If you haven't seen those, I've got interviews with the cast about the Mighty 9. Last couple episodes were absolute bangers. Really great animation, really dramatic. Definitely a very different vibe than Vox Machina. So it's been a journey, for sure. Oh, you need Sentinel on your monsters at this point? Well, you certainly need to make you certainly need monsters that are ranged. That's for sure. And even then, I don't think Sentinel technically works. Rules is written on someone teleporting out of the area. But let me check. Let me make this a little harder to navigate these days. So we're looking up the Sentinel feat and teleporters. Sentinel feat's a good way to lock people down in D&D, and super fun if you have a pole arm. I gotta tell you, I used to do that all the time. Oh, come on, guys. All right, we're looking it up. We're looking it up right now. Sentinel feat. It's a prerequisite being level 4. Sorry, I got little flakes in my glasses. You gotta be level 4 for this feat now. You get an ability increase from strength to dexterity if you want. Guardian. Immediately after a creature within 5 feet of you takes the disengage action or hits a target other than you, you can attack. You can make an opportunity attack against that creature. Halt. When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, that creature's speed becomes 0 the rest of its current turn. So, nasty business on that teleport is that doesn't stop them from teleporting. And even if you were able to knock them to speed of 0, doesn't mean they can't teleport past a speed of 0. Just not a lot of great ways to handle teleporters, really. You know, other than having a hefty ranged weapon on your person all the time. That's why the Feywild Warlock using Pact of the Blade on a +1 longbow, which are really easy to make now, technically. What does it take you, like 10 days to make a longbow +1 in the Dungeon Master's Guide or the Player's Handbook, right? It's like, it's something like 10 days. You can start with a longbow +1, make that your Pact of the Blade, and then you're just teleporting everywhere. And you can Eldritch Smite using that bow. So you're just teleporting as someone's trying to chase you down, and you're just teleporting 30 feet away from them every time, plus your own movement speed. you are a really nasty piece of business. And historically, the most important thing to being an archer is mobility. Most archers were actually, in fact, on horses, the most effective ones in history, in multiple cultures, because you're not going to get them. They have a ranged weapon. Like that's it. Certainly counterspell. However, is the cartographer is not explicitly using Misty Step, are they? Now the Feywild Warlock does use Misty Step. I don't know. I can't remember if the cartographer is using Misty Step. Yeah. Pact of the Blade can be ranged. I know this is a really weird wording on it, but you cannot summon a Pact of the Blade that is not a melee weapon. However, you can make any weapon a Pact of the Blade that is magical. So I know this is very weird wording. Trust me, I've talked to Jeremy Crawford himself about this. So that is the level which I am coming at this particular topic. If you have say a longbow +1 or a gun +1, you can make it your pact weapon. You don't even need improved Pact of the Blade to make this happen, from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. So you can, I don't know why there is this weird difference in the writing, but yeah, you can turn a +1 bow into, rules as written, into a Pact of the Blade weapon. You just can't summon it. So you can't have it teleport to your hand. It feels like that's like a little bit of a weird legacy thing having to do with like creating a missile weapon out of thin air is weird, but I'm not quite sure why Hexblades have been like that. So the wording will melt your brain. I'm happy to look it up again for you right now. Let's go ahead and do that. It's always been confusing. So, that's not on you. And you know what's a little bit frustrating is when you play a Pact of the Blade and you are using a bow and then you have to explain it to your dungeon master, and I'm like, I have it on high. The people who wrote it told me it was so. Let's see. Yeah, it's a fine print loophole for sure. It does cause a bit of friction if your dungeon master has a certain opinion. Pact. Why did that do that? Weird. Sorry, I'm looking it up right now. Classes. Warlock. D&D can get a little bit finicky in these things. Optional class features. Pacts of the Blade. Alright. Yep, we're getting into it, folks. Alright. Pacts of the Blade. This is important for all those people who are a fan of Ford. As a bonus action, you can conjure a pact weapon into your hand that is a simple or martial melee weapon of your choice, for which you bond or create a bond of... Yep, here we go. As a bonus action, you can conjure a pact weapon into your hand. It's either simple or a martial melee weapon of your choice, with which you bond or create a bond with a magical weapon you touch. You cannot bond with a magic weapon if someone else is attuned to it, or another warlock has bonded with it. Until the bond ends, your proficiency with this, you are proficient with this weapon, and you can use it as a spellcasting focus. Whenever you attack with this bonded weapon, you can use your charisma modifier for attack and damage rolls instead of strength and dexterity, and you can cause the weapon to deal necrotic, psychic, or radiant damage, or its normal damage type. Your bond with the weapon ends if this feature features bonus action again if the weapon is more than 5 feet away from you for more than a minute. Conjured weapon disappears when the bond ends. So, rules is written. Yep, they're very explicit. It's not even that hazy as I initially thought it was. You can create a bond with a magical weapon. So that means you can make a magical gun. You can be a gun warlock and lay down some massive, massive damage. So that's how it breaks down. I don't think they'll let me dump this in here. Probably not. Probably go tell. Yeah, it's a big no. It's too long of a message. Oh well. But yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, Eldritch Knight just doesn't. You know, but we got a lot of Gish options in D&D. I do feel like the Warlock is still probably the best Gish option. Though I do like the Blood Hunter quite a bit. I need to get this week. I'm getting my Discord up. I need to do it. Way behind. Do I only see the thumbs up that I put on a video? I can't believe we only have one at this point. We only have one thumbs up. We got 4 on my end. People, give a thumbs up to the video. we got 138 people in here, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And super chats are always very welcome. They definitely get our attention. Also, thank you for all the people who have been gift subbing today as well. That's been absolutely huge for everyone. That's very kind of you. Yeah, the Eldritch Knight is much better in this edition of D&D. So, yeah, Blood Hunters are cool. Blood Hunter is also really great in Daggerheart. It's still definitely heavily play tested. It is kind of wild how complex the Blood Hunter has ultimately proven to be. But Matt's done a really great job. That's been his White Whale. I don't know. Like, that's something that is very near and dear to his heart, and you can tell. That's why I like seeing the journey of the Blood Hunter over time. Yeah, you too can be late on stuff, or you'll have to hit refresh. You never know. YouTube analytical reporting can be quite behind publicly. So that's very common. For sure. 1 second. Oh boy, there are a lot of video game trailers I need to start watching, huh? I can tell. Tyranny, I would love for Matt to make a 2024 update to his when he has the free time. Yeah. With Matt's abundant free time, I think he's probably going to focus on Daggerheart over the D&D version, but I could be wrong. I cannot speak for him. That might be something that he wants to update the Blood Hunter for 2024. Yeah, I mean, they're playing D&D now in the game, so yeah. Oh, wow, 10 Todd Kenner gift memberships. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, Matt Boozle. That's very kind of you. So tonight, I think someone could die. I think it could be dangerous. I think they're going to run into the Tachonis potentially. If they go right away to Teo Prysire's brother, I think things can pop off pretty quick. They need to get that long rest in. but I suspect she is incredibly dangerous, and those soldiers are very dangerous themselves, so... Yeah, I have suspicions. Thank you everybody for the gift memberships. That's such... I love gift memberships because that like benefits people in chat and also myself at the same time. That's always cool. I love a super chat as well. Not gonna lie. So we're about an hour out. That's exciting. We've covered kind of everything in the state of affairs. Again, I suspect we're going to be at the soldiers' table all day today. I could be wrong. It is interesting that we've got this. Oh, another 5 gift subscriptions. Thank you so much, Bob Sinclair. That is very kind of you. Any prediction on the cold open? Yeah, I don't know. I would like to see Liam and Luis. It would be nice to see what Liam and Luis are up to. Because we just went to the Seekers table, so I think we go to Liam and Luis. Good point. Good point. Luis Carazo. Very sweet man. I got to do a Lego D&D game with him. What a wonderful human being. I shouldn't be surprised when you run into people and you work with them and you're like, oh my god, they're super nice and they're lovely. And you're like, oh yeah, of course they are. Yeah, I feel like the soldiers have hit a milestone point. I mean, that would be pretty cool if the cold open was the soldiers and then they did a switcheroo. And then it became like the Seekers table. I think that could be really fun. And that way we don't get so used to understanding what the thumbnail is and predicting things. And thank you for liking the stream. I really appreciate that. I do want to start getting some maps out of Brennan. I would like to get some... I want to get some Campaign 4 merch. I want that red cap. What time do you think... What time do you start these pre-shows? I typically do them like 2.5 hours before the show. I start to let people start to filter in and hang out and talk. You should cover the Project Ghostlight stuff when the new season comes back. Alex, Aabria, and Luis are always on point. Oh, yeah, I need to check that out. I will. I don't know anything about Project Ghostlight. That's a concern. Cold open is Wick dying. Oh, my God. Oh, can you imagine? I love Murray. Oh, midnight UK time. You're hardcore, man. I didn't know you were from the UK. I love visiting. Well, okay, I don't know anything about London other than I go there to. I've gone there multiple times to work. I did get to tool around London for a couple days. Once. So I've been to London 3 or 4 times. I do hate Heathrow. LAX is bad. I hate Heathrow with the burning fire of 1,000 suns. I feel like that is the most disorganized airport I have seen in all of my travels. And I have not been a lot of places in the world, but it's significantly rough. It's 2,300 here in Brazil. My God. You guys are hardcore. Yeah. It's late in the UK. I start losing my mind on that flight to London. You start becoming after 9 straight hours. Yeah, it's quite the international crowd today. Yeah, 135 people in chat. Ugh, no, don't even say Thimble dying. I can't handle Laura Bailey character dying. I just don't know. I think that would mess me up. Shout out to Brazil. Got someone from Ireland. Oh, you're from Ireland. Man. UK airports, if you've not been to Heathrow, so here's the deal is in America, if things have not gone off the rails, you know what your gate is like days in advance sometimes. So you just know where your flight's going to be. When you go to Heathrow, you're just staring at a sign, and then they'll just tell you for like 5 to 10 minutes before your flight takes off what gate you should be at. It is the wildest system. Like, London Heathrow is so busy that they're just trying to find a place to stick a plane. You know, it's like you can't tell someone where they're going to park at a grocery store, right? Like Heathrow is so locked up. And you may be taking a bus. You may be taking a bus to your plane. You have no idea. And you're not going to find out until it's too late. That's how I feel about Heathrow. Travel is so stressful. Anyways, that's my long rant about Heathrow. I'm going to make an extra planar version of Heathrow, like Planescape, but it's Heathrow. So yeah, you can travel the multiverse, but you have to go through Heathrow to do it. I think that would be amazing. Home Alone running scene, that's Heathrow? Yeah. I remember them running through Heathrow in Love Actually. Europe's busiest airport run by guesswork, yeah. Was he in London for Home Alone? I think that's Love Actually. Am I wrong? Because the little kid wants to tell the girl how he feels. In Love Actually. I remember Home Alone 1, and Home Alone 2 he's in New York. Did they go to Heathrow in Home Alone 3? I never saw that one. Yeah, Sigil is pretty close to Heathrow. Yeah, SeaTac's getting worse and worse. For those who have ever flown to Seattle, it's not getting better. It is chaos. Streets backed up, everything's backed up. Getting out of SeaTac is a nightmare. Ultimately, I tend to just park when I'm picking someone up because it's just madness. Yeah, I hate traveling. I hate flying so much, and I have had to do so much of it this year. But I love London. I hear people say that people in London are really rude. Every time I've been there, they were really okay. How do I put this? Every time I've been there, people were really nice to me. There was one person who was not nice to me that I had to work with that was weirdly negative, and in my face about stuff, and like unnecessary. Like, hey, I don't even know who you are. Why are you so upset? But thank you so much. £5 from Bob Sinclair. Genuine question. I have a table of 6 I Dungeon Master for. We finished Strahd. What's the next book I go for? So it depends on how much you want on the rails adventure. Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft has a lot of good, really fantastic. Got some fun player options in there, and they outline a lot of the domains in Ravenloft, and a lot of nice adventure prompts as well. If you're good with kind of winging and going on your own, that way you can leave the Ravenloft domain, enter in a couple others that have some. There's like a really cool zombie themed domain. You've got a domain that's very much Victor Frankenstein's domain, essentially. So every type of gothic horror that you might enjoy, there's a version of that for you. If you want to just go wild and go in the other direction for a fully created adventure, Realm Beyond the Witchlight is pretty good, but it is pretty quirky and charming, and not the dark tone of Ravenloft. It's pretty silly mostly. But there's lots of witches and stuff like that. Now, if you tonally want something still really dark for your party, I'm answering this very extreme. Rime of the Frost Maiden, Rime, is an excellent adventure book. It's very inspired by Cthulhu myths and The Thing and 1980s horror, and it's set in like an icy type of environment. So I think it really depends where you want to go with it, but like if you like the dark stuff, I think Rime of the Frostbane is really fun, and it's a different type of a kind of oppressive environment that is not Ravenloft. Well, Beyond the Witchlight, yeah, it was Justice our mom was running that for us, and we just got so busy we couldn't keep coming back because life stuff. It's hard. It's hard having a consistent game sometimes. I think so. There's really cool, creepy stuff. Crooked Moon by my friends over at Legends of Evantris is really well done. Yeah, I'm pretty obsessed with Rime of the Frostbane, and there's some real quirky. There's some fun stuff. There's some quirky stuff, but there's a lot of dark stuff, and borderline sci-fi. And my wife and I invented a monster together. So previously, there had been gnome squidlings. I mean, gnome mind flayers had existed at some point in some material, but Megan and I created a new gnome that had super long tentacles and tiny little legs, and that's a gnome squidling. And I told but a bunch of ours friends and I were on Twitter and Megan, and we were talking back and forth, and Megan drew the gnome squidling, and then Richard Witters drew the gnome squidling, and then Max Dunbar drew the gnome squidling, and then they made the gnome squidling into a real creature in D&D, and that is what Megan and I have contributed to D&D. Other than the fact that she worked on all the books and like color corrected stuff and did packaging and all this other stuff. Yeah, Rime of the Frostbane is really, really cool. I didn't read the alt endings on that. I didn't want to ruin it for myself because I want someone to run it for me. Yeah, I totally hear you, Geeky Vapor. I get not necessarily loving pre-made adventures. I tend to be chaos, and I tend to adapt my games on the fly with who I'm running them with. And sometimes I find a pre-written adventure to be a bit of a constraint just for how my mind works. However, I think I like pre-made adventures for inspiration or to take it apart and make it your own. And that's the point of them. Because if you find yourself trying to adhere too much to every little thing they say to do, you'll cause yourself more anxiety. I had a very hard time trying to run Ravenloft. And Ravenloft is really well written for Curse of Strahd. But I would get so stressed out about it, weirdly enough. Also because of the heritage of it. Yeah, it's interesting. Here's one debate point when it comes to the Winter Walker Ranger is it's always weird to do cold damage if you're from a cold environment. Because everything there is going to be resistant to cold or immune to cold. So it's always I get the mechanical concept of it. Like, I'm from the fire domain. I create fire and I attack things with fire. I'm like, do you? Because if you were from an environment where everything is on fire, does fire hurt anything that you are up against? Like, if you're a devil, I think fire damage is the last thing you want to deal to like a demon. That's just me. You think that being able to create fire as a Winter Walker Ranger would make more sense, but then it doesn't feel like on theme to the name. This is a hobby horse of mine. Yeah, I ad-lib tons of stuff. Oh yeah, Dragonheim's a fantastic job. It's really, I mean, what a great conceit to a dungeon crawl. and to an entire economy of a system to basically go on an adventure. Drakenheim's almost like virtually like a dark, aberrant anime, and it's in that way. It's not quite Delicious Dungeon, but it's got a hook that is the reason you go into dungeons. I think the Winter Ranger ignores. The Winter Ranger may actually ignore resistance to cold, but not immunity. Nothing gets past immunity, I think. But it'd be weird if it didn't have the ability to get around that. I'll have to check. But yeah, that's a good ranger to have in the cold. Let's take a look at it. I mean, you're here. And I'll start putting these things on the screen next time. Let's see. Tools. Classes. Damage for your weapon attacks and ranger spells and ranger features ignore resistance to cold damage. That's needed. You have resistance to cold damage, so that's good for the environment you're in. And then you have polar strikes. When you hit a creature with an attack roll using a weapon, you can deal an extra 1d4 cold damage, which is okay. And you can take this extra damage once per turn. When you reach level 11, this extra damage increases to 1d6. Level 3, Ice Rime. Ice rimes you and your prey, protecting you and hindering them. When you cast Hunter's Mark, you gain temp HP. This is really nice. 1d10 to your level. That's cool. So you're basically kind of getting... why am I forgetting it right now? The Warlock spell. Additionally, while a creature is marked with your Hunter's Mark, it can't take the disengage action. That's pretty cool. Winter Walker spells. Ice Knife, Hold Person, Remove Curse, Ice Storm, and Cone of Cold. Your experience in harrowing environments bolsters you and your allies. You choose a number of creatures equal to your wisdom modifier. Each creature gains hit points equal to 1d10 your ranger level and has advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the frying condition for 1 hour. Interesting. Chilling Retribution. When a creature hits you with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to force a creature to make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, they are stunned. That's huge. And their speed is reduced to 0. That's a nice little slap. And Frozen Haunt. When you cast Hunter's Mark, you can adopt a ghostly, snowy form. This form lasts until the spell ends. And while you're in this form... I got thrown off. And while you're in this form, you gain the following benefits. When you use this feature, you cannot use it again. You finish a long rest. Frozen Soul, you have immunity to cold damage, which is massive. So this is really good for Rime of the Frostbane. When you adopt this form and start each your subsequent turns, each creature of your choice within 15 foot of that emanation originating from you takes 2d4 cold damage. It's decent. Partially incorporeal, you have immunity to the grapple, the prone, and restrained conditions. You can move through objects as if they were difficult terrain, but if you get stuck in one of them, you take 1d10 damage. Pretty typical stuff. So, yeah, pretty solid ranger and solid for that environment and that setting. Thank you for the super chat, Charles2450. That's huge. Gotta work tonight, so coming to the stream late. Here's my weekly tithe to the cause. Do you have ads turned on? I do. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for asking. I got it right today. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, I do like... I like... this is one thing I do like about Daggerheart is that they have so many campaign frames rather than full... adventures, but I think it's really it depends on the type of dungeon master you are, right? I think that can go in a lot of different ways, a lot of different directions. So that is pretty funny that that's Clippy. Shout out to everyone who remembers who Clippy is. I went out of focus while I was talking about nerd stuff. We're about 40 minutes out. Clippy was the weirdest thing. I don't think anyone has the ability to scry on Sid at level 3. And we haven't even seen a level up yet. Have we? I don't think we have seen a level up. So I don't think anyone has any magic that can track Sid down. I know that Robbie is using this non-2024 core rulebooks spell called Clue, which comes from a third party that might be able to help. It looks like you have an existential D&D crisis. Do you need help? I don't know that there's a Daggerheart audiobook in the works now. A wild Megan has emerged.
Am I wild?
Yes. Always. Yeah, it feels like they're well past leveling up at this point. They're taking their time. I don't know what the typical rate of leveling up for them has been in other campaigns, though. Cool Valda. Yeah, Valda's Spire of Secrets. Lots of weird yet cool spells there. Some decent classes, too. Very cool. Everyone says hi, Megan. Yeah, it just seemed like such a random book to source for Critical Role. But cool. Glad they did. Thank you again, everyone, for the super chats and for gifting so many subs today. That's huge. That's what keeps the stream going. That's always helpful and beneficial. So I definitely appreciate it. Very cool. Scrolling down. And we're about 40 minutes out till the beginning of the show. Just checking on a couple of things. Okay, I'm back. All right, got a question. With Brennan DMing, he's probably He'll probably stick with however he does leveling on his campaigns in D20, maybe? Yeah, but does he do really exceptionally long campaigns? I don't think so. He might level up at the end of the run of the Distiller's Table. I think that would make a lot of sense for everybody. Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready to see the Schemers. I love the Schemers. No, there's no shade to the soldiers at all. I just like, I like chicanery. There's nothing wrong with slow progression. You know, the folks at Outside Xbox, they've never, I don't think they've ever leveled up. I think they've been level 7 for like 5 years. Yeah, I've never seen Brennan go past level... Publicly, I've never seen him go past 20. I typically do milestone leveling. I don't do the experience stuff. I think there was something fun, you know, when you're growing up, leveling up using experience points, because you would like look through the monster manual and dream of the things that you could kill and get hit point, you know, get level up because of it. That there was always like a fun randomness to that. And maybe we're missing that. You know, I use milestones, but maybe I need to get around that. Go back to the old ways. Do you see any more Dimension 20 regular crossovers for a critical role like Lou Wilson? Yeah, I could see that. Absolutely. Lou seems like an absolutely wonderful person. You know, it's all kind of illusionary currency. I mean, not to break it to anyone who's not a dungeon master, but yeah, it was always weird because like someone would get the final kill on a monster and get more experience or something like that. Like you would see scenarios like that. That certainly was the issue in like MMOs. That would happen too. When there was poor design for stuff like that. Really encouraged murder, hoboing, yeah. I was always pretty arbitrary. Like, I'd hand out experience points in games like Star Wars and stuff. I'll admit, if we had a bad player who just was kind of a problem player, I would punish that player for experience. Because I would actually, yeah, it's kind of hard. Like, I was 18, but I would give out experience points for role playing, for camaraderie. Basically, I give people like little gold stars for making the game more fun for everyone around them. And if we had like someone who was just all about themselves, rushing in, only cared about min-max builds, didn't really communicate with the rest of the party, that kind of stuff, I would penalize them for experience. But really, at the end of the day, I should have just not had that player at the table. But they did get the message. I will say that. They definitely noticed they started not getting as much XP as other people, and they started to critique their behavior. Or curtail. That could blow up in your face, though. That kind of stuff. But when you're 18, you're just doing your best. But yeah, it seemed to work out pretty well. Yeah, XP leveling. You know what? Robbie said something in the cooldown. Every once in a while, I think I want to play a bard. And even if you're even if you're a Valor bard, I don't know that I would have fun. I do love being support. I liked playing like trickier domain clerics. I think they're really fun, and you can hit people for some serious damage as a trickery domain cleric. If you can get off inflict wounds, jeez. Dude, I mean, the half the battle is just trying to hit somebody with it, but once you do, that's 1d10. Oh, give out DM inspiration for those who show up on time? Damn right. Yeah. That's wise. I had to take a level of Warlock with my Bard so I could just Eldritch Blast for variety. Yeah, as I get older, I am less apt to try something new in D&D because I know what I tend to have fun with. I also think there's nothing wrong with anyone playing the same character for their whole lives. I think that's totally fine and legit. Because you like to play that type of character. I've played a lot of characters other than my character Avram, but I don't know that I've ever had as much fun, and that character is very good for a table for comedic effect. Yeah, it's almost time to get food. Woo, we're almost 30 minutes out. Yeah, Tyranny's time with the squid. I mean, Thimble should have leveled up. That line alone. Do you hear them now? Ugh. What a wild moment. It would be fun if we could create some party games here in chat. I think I'll look into that for next time. There's got to be a way to do something like Trivia Night. Todd, do you think the Warhammer is the best Blade Singer weapon? If you have Can you use a Warhammer as a blade singer right now? Because yes, I have a pusher build with a Warhammer that is obscene. I'm gonna actually do that on a build stream. Thank you so much for a $10 super chat from Charles24. Oh wow, dude, thank you so much. Time to head back out into the snowstorm to finish checking on things. Have fun and enjoy the show all. Thank you so much, buddy. I really appreciate it. Everyone's so giving in this chat. It's pretty wild. I have played bards because I don't sing. I will play a bard that's like a Bene Gesserit witch, where they're using the voice. I think that's fun. Yeah, I think that requires me to write some polls ahead of time, and trivia polls, and I'll do that next time. Maybe I'll pre-write some, have them pop into chat, and see how that works. That could be fun. All right, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, that just takes a little bit of pre-writing before the show. You always try it now, though. Which table? We have a poll. Oh, I do like seeing the graphic. Sorry, my microphone stand is so tall, I have trouble seeing over it. I apologize. I love seeing this back and forth in chat right now. Yeah, I'll work on that for next time. Oh, wow. Another $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Tigbright. Or I think I said that wrong. Oh, hey, are you getting hit by the flooding? Yeah, I'm in Tacoma and safe here, but it's terrible for a few miles east. Yeah, so we are not, but we are near a lake. And that's flooded a little bit. And then we've got some flooding on some roads nearby, but luckily we live up kind of on a hill randomly. And it's actually kind of near the peak. So we've been okay. Yeah. It's real spongy outside. I can say that. Getting a little rough in that regard, but things so far are doing okay. Thank you so much for Brandon Keene. 1266. Great interviews with Spencer and Rowan. Thank you so much. I'll crop my screen. Yeah, I'll help next time. Thank you so much for saying those are great interviews with Spencer and Rowan. They're two wildly talented human beings who are an unending font of knowledge and passion for what they do. I do want to get them. I want to ask them even crunchier questions next time to really get into the math rocks of everything. But thank you so much, Brandon Keene, for that super chat. We're pretty split down the middle on this. It's 53% Seekers right now. Oh yeah, I mean, Daggerheart's got a killer crew, man. They got Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins. They got Rowan Hall and Spencer Stark. They got Elise. I mean, they've got the most talkity talkers of designers who are super talented and super passionate, and really, you know, good at what they do. You just need to get them to. You just need someone to ask them questions. And we might live in the same neighborhood. Now the schemers. That's 50-50. Oh my god, it feels roasting in here. I'm gonna be right back. I'm cooking. So, 1 second. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. I was in a sweater that was absolutely cooking me to death. Oh, did I miss any super chats or anything? Looks like we're good. What we got in chat? Oh, I'll never reveal where I live. Yeah, we could find it. I would love to hear a little bit more about what's going on with Sir Julian's curse. I love the acquisitions incorporated move to Daggerheart. What a win for them. Yeah, I think that's huge, and it really fits kind of that quirkiness of that group really well. And again, that's Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford running the game, so that's going to be great. It was a great concert. I hated Tron. It was a rough movie. Hate's a hard word, but I'm going to go ahead and use it. That last Tron movie was real rough. I actually like Tron Legacy, to be completely honest. So, it had its flaws. Tron Legacy 100% had some flaws, but
mean, did you see the first Tron movie? Because Tron Legacy has some of the best photography and special effects I've ever seen. And one of the best soundtracks ever made. Tron Ares has got a good soundtrack for Managed House. That's about it. I think maybe some decent visuals, but like it doesn't tie together, it doesn't feel real. It's just kind of a mess. So, welcome to the just hating on Tron Ares stream. And I just don't get the whole Jared Leto of it all. I'll be honest. I think he gets miscast constantly, and I don't understand why he's the main character in some shows. Morbius casting was bizarre. Him casting Blade Runner was really strange. Him being part of Tron Ares, he was a producer on it, which was totally weird too. They ignored all the lore from Tron Legacy, really. Yeah, I don't know, just kind of a mess. Kind of a mess. I didn't care for him as the Joker. I thought he had like one or two funny moments in it, but yeah, I don't know. It's been a lot of misses for me and Jared Leto. Daggerheart, Jeremy, and Chris are Daymons. And it feels like you should be the third one. I wouldn't say no. So how are we going to encounter House Tachonis in the next few episodes? I guess the question is where and when. Well, House Tachonis has Terra Pride Sire's brother right now, so if they catch up to them, they'll run into them for sure. Or it'll happen in the next table. Stuff you hear about him behind the scenes, yeah, I don't even want to get into any of that. I used to know a guy who we were in journalism together, and he had a real dislike for Jared Leto, and I always thought it was like kind of silly because I'm like the guy who got the crap beat out of him in Fight Club, and as the years have gone by, I have now come around. So. Because I didn't really know anything about Jared Leto other than I'm like, this is the very, very blonde guy from Fight Club. Todd lives with Santa. Why does Todd live with Santa? If Todd lived with Santa, Todd would be making more. Let's see, where are we at right now? We're 20 minutes out. That's huge. So predictions, they may catch up to Terra Pride Sire's brother, Sid, and then possibly things will pop off between them and House Tachonis. Oh, yeah. Well, that is a Santa thing to do. That's fair. Todd gives you the gift of knowledge. I do have a weird amount of D&D knowledge compounded in my brain. Also about video games. I used to be the editor-in-chief for all video coverage for NBC News. I say actual because it's not like a local station, like for the news. I had a show called In Game with Todd Kenrick. It's on MSNBC.com. It was pretty cool. A lot of those videos are missing, though, from history at this point. Because of streaming. Do yourself a favor. If you do create video content, burn that stuff to hard copy because you will lose it. Like, when NBC was acquired by Comcast, they decided they weren't into the nerd thing anymore, and they shut down G4, and then they eventually got to me and my show on NBCnews.com, and it was we lost a lot of the video content I created. I was the top performer for original content at NBCnews.com. So I would outperform people who were on cable. Oh no, we just lost. Did we lose internet? Would I consider streaming video games? Yeah, if people watch, absolutely. I've been thinking about streaming Dispatch and streaming Demio again, for sure. You have to watch out for damaging your channel, though. Like, if only 50 people show up, that's something you have to kind of watch out for live streams. I know. They might stick it out with the soldiers table. Or they could do like a checking in with every single table all in one edited together episode. Yeah, we might have the soldiers table for the next 2 episodes. What's the most obscure and weird game you've covered? That's a damn good question. Well, technically, the most obscure one was the first time they were testing out eye tracking software, and it was like a game where you lasered things with your eyes based off your eye movements, and you would destroy asteroids. So that was pretty niche. I actually was there the first time, the prototype that would eventually become. I met Palmer Luckey at like 7 in the morning at E3 with John Carmack. And they didn't even tell me what this meeting was about. And it was duct tape on a weird device, and that became the Oculus Rift eventually. And that was pretty obscure because it was Doom 3, but in VR, and that was pretty cool. There was a Tron game that wasn't fixed yet for Disney, for Nintendo Wii, and it was 3D. And they said, whatever you do, don't look at the screen. And I looked at the screen, and something about the 3D not being finished does something to your brain and gives you vertigo. It made me want to throw up. And they were very right into telling me, don't look at the screen. There's a Shadow of the Beast remake that was totally weird. I love Shadow of the Beast. It was a great game. But they just didn't... it's hard for them to really kind of encapsulate it. What else was obscure? I remember games that shocked me. Flower made me want to cry. I played Flower on the PlayStation, and I was like, wait, I'm not killing anybody in this game? I'm confused. We can make video games about not killing people? I'm genuinely shocked. Yeah, I got nothing else. I think the most fun games I've ever had streaming were like playing Sea of Thieves with my wife. We are hilarious together. We get into hijinks. We were just really funny streaming together. And then I miss streaming. Well, I don't think we were streamed it, but we used to play Star Wars: The Old Republic, Hotball, and we would absolutely destroy everybody. Yeah, I know. They're like, don't look at the screen. And I looked at it, and I thought someone shot me with like one of those weird space guns that make you throw up. I felt so bad. Will I be at Emerald City Comic Con this March? Probably. I don't have any panels planned out or anything like that. I'm really bad about that stuff. I don't typically go on panels. 15 more minutes. Yeah, Journey was wild. Oh my god. And then at the end of Journey, they tell you how many people you played with. Just, I need to finish South of Midnight. That's a game I need to finish. That's very kind, Bob Sinclair. Well, I will definitely take that under advisement. They don't have much healing spells between them. You know, no one's really a high-powered healer in any way. There's not a lot of healing in this game. It's pretty rough. I think I'm going to get rid of this beard, dude. This beard is driving me insane. Oh, yeah, let me close the poll. Very fair. End poll.
Yep, I understand people starting to leave for the main channel. Absolutely makes sense. I appreciate everyone hanging out and chatting. Maybe we'll play Demio next time, or while we're waiting, and we can answer questions and stuff. That'll be fun. Yeah, the audience will punish you in YouTube. 100%. That's a whole thing. I still have my old channel, Invader Boom, but I don't know that even any of those followers exist anymore. I think Clara Obscura is going to absolutely clean up tonight. I think Dispatch, I hope, cleans up a little bit too. But yeah, Clara Obscura is just a fantastic game full of a knockout cast, and I feel the same way about Dispatch. Yep, I will be here tomorrow. I do have a meeting at noonish tomorrow, so I might be a little bit late to streaming. That's one thing. Oh, I've never been so emotionally affected, I think, in a video game than Clara Obscura in the first 5 to 10 minutes. Destroyed me. What an absolute shocking opening to a video game. I would put it up there with The Last of Us, but not in any way are they identical and why they're shocking. But they just grab you and don't let you they don't let you go. Yeah, it's shocking. Interesting. Recap probably between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. I think the recap will happen. We'll see. Oh, they're not eligible this year? Oh, okay. Yeah, Clara Obscura is wildly emotional. Yeah, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time. Otherwise, I'll do it early if I can get it done, but I have a lunch meeting. All right, we're 10 minutes out. Yeah, click the bell. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats, for the gift subs, for all of it. That helps us keep on streaming, keep the channel going. I appreciate all of you. Everyone have a great stream. Have a great day. Really have a nice time watching the next episode, and I'll see you tomorrow. And big shout out to everyone who sent a super chat. That's so supportive and kind, and everyone who gifted the sub, and everyone who did sub themselves. And if you even if it's just a like and a subscribe, all of that helps, and all the kind words of support are massive. I cannot thank you enough, and I will see you guys tomorrow.